Hello and good afternoon again. Welcome back to IBC 2013. I'm here with Ronan Artman, who's the VP of Marketing at LiveView. Many of you have probably heard of LiveView and probably of cellular bonding now as the market's beginning to mature. But I think it's worth, Ronan, having an overview really and a history of cellular bonding and what it actually is.
First of all, thanks for having me. Well, cellular bonding started back 2006 when the LiveView founder actually was. It's a nice story. He was at a football game and he was watching around and see all those satellite trucks, and he was asking his friend, who never been in a football game before, what do they do? So they are broadcasting the game live, and he just graduated and worked for Intel at the cellular division for a while, and he thought this can be actually achieved by cellular technology. So he went back to his garage and after 3 months he came up with the idea of taking multiple cell phones and actually imagine you have your iPhone, but imagine you can put your 8 iPhone combined and create a reliable fat pipe so you can be able to deliver live HD quality video.
Sure.
So I think bonding, in essence, is taking unreliable networks, which the cellular networks are.
That's what I was going to say, because anyone who's used a cellular phone will know and cellular networks are inherently unreliable. So that must have been a considerable challenge.
Correct, and I think this is what the biggest challenge the companies are in this space are facing, is how to combine it and make it that is steady. So you're right. When one of the networks drop down in a second, your entire transmission doesn't drop down, but remain constant at all time. And I think this is the true magic in bonding, is creating this combination of all those cellular networks together, but keep them intact throughout the time. And no matter where you go, if it's a handover between 3G and 4G, if it's a handover between cell towers, if it's a problem when more people getting into one cell area and the signal or the signal strength drop down because a lot of people are trying to do the same at one time. So being able to transition between those networks but still maintain a steady quality HD video, that's I think the biggest challenge, and I think right now the industry is much more mature. I think the fact that you are talking about cellular bonding and the fact that everybody knows what cellular bonding, it means that this technology has been mature enough to serve most of the broadcasters in the world, and in fact that's exactly what they do.
Yeah, sure. But knowing the broadcast industry as I do over the years, broadcasters can be quite conservative, and clearly also quality of signal is an absolute genuine issue. So how did you convince broadcasters? What was that process to, because it is a very innovative sector.
Yeah, so I think at least for LiveView, the fact that 2008 through the Olympics in Beijing, NBC was the first actually to try it out. They needed some solution to provide coverage for the marathon, and they couldn't get it, and we provided them with our service and tested it out. And once it went through and it worked, I mean, once you get it with one of the top tier or one, it's easier then to try, because you have a point of reference right now, and you can try. I don't think right now, and it's still, you say it's very conservative. The fact that when Obama having a speech from the White House, they're not going to do it probably from a cellular, not in this time and age. They're going to rely on the satellite, but they do need a solution to bring more content to the audience. So they will follow Obama on the train. So they will go to places where traditional satellite cannot go. Because think about it, you need with a satellite a line of sight for wherever you do. With mobile transmission, if you can pick up your phone and make a call, we probably can transmit a live video. So you can go to high-rise building, to moving cars, to basement, to anything that you can imagine where there is cellular transmission. You can do it in a fraction of the cost of satellite, and this is a major difference for them.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that about using it in moving vehicles, because I was talking to a German distributor and he'd used it on the Autobahn, which of course is deregulated, at a very high speed, absolutely perfectly, which must... But is it one of those technologies where actually broadcasters have to start thinking differently to get the best out of it, because they can now achieve things that were previously impossible? You know, the actual mindset has to change.
It is a mindset, exactly. But what we found out, that they take it to the next level to use it in application that we never thought about. I mean, you'll get suddenly a clip from a dog sled out there in Alaska, in places that, because I think they're also very creative in engage with more content to the users. I mean, users want more. I mean, the traditional ones is getting it, you know, from a standing or from anywhere. With cellular, you are opening the possibilities to live transmission from any place that there is cellular connectivity. So this is a true, I think, challenge for us to provide the tool, but very creative mindset from them to provide that type of coverage.
So do you have, I mean, a company that immediately springs to mind is a company like GoPro in this, you know, although the technology is different, than the notion behind of being able to film high quality video anywhere. You know, how does it dovetail with that? Have you done any work with GoPro at all?
Well, we've done actually. Personally, I did work with GoPro. Actually, we climbed the Kilimanjaro on January, where we used the GoPro cameras as the mean of transmitting the video. We use a Cobham Beacon actually to transmit the video back live in places where we couldn't. So yes, we do the integration. I mean, it's a nice integration here in a GoPro. I mean, it's the drone.
Yeah. Let's have a look at that, Ronan.
That we have. Yes, another nice.
Put it up here, yeah.
I'll put it nice here. Actually, this one is hosting a GoPro Hero 3 camera.
Oh, is it a GoPro camera in
here?
Yeah,
actually, you can see that there's a GoPro camera here, and we are talking about initiatives. When you're talking about technology innovation, I think we always, I think, as a vendor, we're looking to enrich the level of engagement for these who are using us. So we will always try to come up with a solution that they can fit anywhere. And I think the drone is something that a lot of people is looking at right now.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting in terms of covering sports events, covering rock concerts, covering gatherings. And this is something that we experiment with. And I was very surprised to see the amount of level of interest that this type of vehicle is bringing to the area. A lot of broadcasters are really interested and want to see what can be done with that type of UAV.
And what are the challenges with the UAV? I gather that there's. As I was talking to someone the other day about it. In terms of flying, there's quite a lot of restrictions. It's a regulated or a market that's coming to be regulated.
It's a lot. I think the market right now is getting into regulate that. I mean, these are not toys. And there is regulations, there is privacy issues here, and there is insurance here. I mean, no broadcaster wants that to fall on one person's head. But yeah, there is those. But I think they are battling that, and obviously this type of UAV, you need two people to. I know that the UK you have to be a pilot license, and this particular device you need someone to operate the camera and one actually to carry it, and this will get very sophisticated autopilot inside. It actually anti-collision sensors. So it's sophisticated, but I think that can add a lot of a new dimension of live coverage from the way that we know it, and definitely broadcasters are looking into these type of things.
Okay, thanks for that. I'm going to go back to Kilimanjaro, just slightly stepping away from what was it like climbing Kilimanjaro? What was the weather like and the challenge?
Well, first of all, you know, when we talk about this, I hardly believe that I actually did that, and we planned it kind of a year ago, and I think the angle was, how about we broadcast live throughout the Kilimanjaro, and that's exactly what we did. We thought about this technology can take it to the next level. So cellular connectivity where we could, but on the top one where there's no connectivity at all.
Oddly, not much demand, I'd imagine.
Unless there's direct line from the satellite coming. We use a beacon.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
You can stay on the top of the Kilimanjaro only 20 minutes because of the oxygen, so you cannot stay longer than that. And we had to rush and do the broadcast as
And by BGAN, you mean a small satellite dish?
It's a small satellite. It's a small satellite that is connected to the Inmarsat network, and we connected our unit to that, and we did a live broadcast from that. So actually, we broadcast twice a day, in the evening and in the morning. It was quite an interesting thing just to do it from the physical thing, but I do remember times when you get on night to the tent, and instead of crashing and sleeping, you have to broadcast because you said, I'm broadcasting twice a day. So it was an interesting, and it was nice to see how the technology, you can take that to the limit, and it was a great fun. We're looking for the next one. We don't know yet where.
So you've set the bar quite hard there, Ronan. It could be, Okay, then it's interesting. I believe LiveView was listed in the CNBC's top 50 most innovative companies at the moment. The term disruptive technology here comes to mind, and by that I mean a technology that not only disrupts the primary industry in which it's being used, but also in other verticals as well. So cellular bonding, does it have a role to play outside the broadcast space?
Yes, I think by disrupting, it's not about only like what does it do. I think we invented a new industry. Think about this is an industry that was never existed before, and suddenly in 6 years, look how many companies are working in this space. Definitely there is a market for that. And we're not talking about just broadcasters, we're talking about sport governing bodies, we're talking about education market, we're talking about security applications. There are ambulances.
Yeah, I was going to say, the medical, I heard, what's the benefit in the medical environment or the ambulance?
Well, think about, I mean, someone, God forbid, injured in one place, they put him into the ambulance, and from the ambulance itself, it broadcasting live to the ER. So the doctor in the ER, first of all, can give direction to the paramedic inside exactly what to do. And by the time this patient gets into the ER, they already know their condition, they already know what have been done to him, so they can be ready with the right stuff. So in rural areas, in places where it takes a while for the ambulance to get to the hospital, this type of technology is actually life-saving. So it's not. So this is one item of where it can come into very handy, where the technology can take it to the next level.
Okay. Obviously, we've talked about other industries. We've talked about broadcast. We haven't really talked that much about online yet. And as we saw with audio, when we moved from an analog to a digital environment, suddenly, I mean, that was in a sense the democratization of audio. Now you could do it on a PC rather than 50 bits of outboard kit. So what does cellular bonding mean for video use for newspapers, for example, or other online portals?
Exactly. So I think if you think about it, video is probably the number one attraction when you go to the website. I mean, we all know YouTube. We all know when you see a piece of video what in terms of engagement. I think newspapers are making a lot of the transition and being broadcasters.
Yeah, sure.
For two reasons. First of all, they know that most of the people spend most of their days at work, and they want to deliver them that same amount of live content instead of when you're coming home and open the 8 o'clock news. And it's affordable. They can do it. They do a lot of coverage, and this type of technology gives them the ability to go. So we see the transition where a lot of newspapers are starting to opening their own video studios inside and becoming much more engaged in the video and live video than they were before, just because they can do it right now in the fraction of the cost.
I mean, this is going to sound not denigrating the quality of cellular bonding, but what we've noticed in the news world, in the Arab Spring, is a prime example of this, is the rapidity that's required in a news environment now. A lot of the time is of the essence because there's so much competition. So presumably cellular bonding is empowering is providing a far greater experience than Skype, for example, in the video sense. So I presume you're empowering journalists as well in that regard, and in a news environment too, for speed, mobility, etc.
Correct. I think that the interesting thing about it, we were actually the first with the major broadcaster to be on site when the Arab Spring took place, just because of the reason, because no satellite were allowed to get near those places, and the people with the backpacks can actually go there. But yeah, I think more you see more and more journalists are getting those units and starting to using that. And you try, time is an essence. Sometimes a live video is more important even with a lesser quality, because you have to hit the news, and regardless of where you are, in most cases, in most places in the world right now, there is a cellular connectivity and you can do that. So definitely we see more and more journalists keeping one of the units in the back pocket and transmit whenever they need.
Okay, so you mentioned there the quality issue, and so how does it work in terms of the trade-off between the quality of the image and the delay? I mean, presumably you have multiple settings, or how does that work?
You do have multiple settings. Obviously, when you need an interview, I mean, the delay is critical and crucial in terms of that. So
sure.
You will lower that. In the units, in the cellular bonding, the longer the delay, the longer that you give the ability for the unit to correct itself. So if they send a piece of video back to the studio and the piece of video is somehow corrupted, it will go back and ask the unit to send it again, correct it and send it again. So with the delay, it gives the unit a time to correct the video. When you do lower delay, you don't have that ability to do that.
Right.
So that is the trade-off. But sometimes you have to do interviews and you have to use it, but you have to manage. When there is perfect network condition, there is not even a slight problem in doing that. The problem occurs when there is the quality of the cellular transmission is getting lower, and then you have to play with the delay to make sure that you get an adequate video quality at all time.
Okay. Sticking on, I mean, you obviously you mentioned 3G and 4G, and we're gradually moving into, particularly in the US, but we're rolling out across Europe now 4G services. And some people would probably think that's a panacea, that 4G, everything's solved now, there's so much bandwidth, etc. But clearly there's still contention ratios involved in 4G. And I noticed if you look online, the bit rate varies massively in the US. Is 4G a panacea, or what does it mean for cellular bonding?
The same discussion they had about the 3G. when 3G came, they say you don't need anything because 3G, and we know that the demand is way over the capacity of the networks to provide. So even at 4G right now in the countries where 4G just rolling out, people say, hey, 4G is great. Why do I need more? Just wait, because by the next year, I assume the demand for 4G will be much higher, and then you need bonding. If you want to secure single channel, is not enough, not even dual channel. You need more than that in order to make sure that you get a good HD quality as the networks are asking for, and you can rely. 4G is great, don't get me wrong, and it's great. You can push the megabytes up higher, and get great quality video, but it's not enough. And we're already talking about LTE Advanced. We're already talking about
because 4G is just a general term.
It's a general term. I mean, you push the boundaries more and more, and we'll be there. I mean, the industry will be there to provide that.
Right at the start, you talked about the inspiration behind this and looking at a sports environment and bonding, mobile phones. Is this technology available on mobile, on iOS, cellular bonding, or?
Oh yeah, it's available in iOS, it's available in Android. I mean, especially at LiveView, we understand that most of the broadcasters have special needs in different environments. One place they will need a satellite, I mentioned Obama and others. In some places, they will get whatever they can.
Sure.
And if the reporter is out there and all he's got is an iPhone, we will make sure that he's got a bonded iPhone solution on his pocket, and the same for the Android. always striving to give them more than a single channel, always doing it. So the iOS, we will bond the Wi-Fi and the GSM or the 4G network. We do have even a device that have combined them too. The same will do for the Android. So whenever there is also in the cameras, I think bonding is the solution for resilient video, and that's what this industry is all about.
Okay, and again, you talked about sports earlier on, as we just mentioned. Then, how big's the sport? How big's the sports market? I mean, presumably, and again, not denigrating cellular bonding, but you wouldn't film a NFL game solely cellular bonding for the main. So where does cellular bonding fit into that mix?
Cellular bonding fits in the pre-game wrap-ups and fan interviews. We're talking about practice session. We're talking about player interviews. We're talking about coaches interviews before the game and after the game. Everything. We've been working with the NBA for the last 4 years. Everything from locker room interviews to peripheral things around it. This is exactly because I think the networks and the audience at home wants more content.
Yeah.
And it's not just the game itself. Yeah. They want to see the game. They want to see the player coming to the game. They want to see them practice. They want to hear bits and audio bits and video bits of them practicing and shoot out and having fun between each other. And this is something that the compact cellular bonding devices can bring to the field and also bring to those sports governing that they want more content, and this is exactly what we can bring them.
Okay. Last question. I notice you have another unit there beside you. How important is form factor in this?
Well, form factor is true. We've seen that as a true something that everybody. First of all, everybody wants to carry a small device. They want to carry. I think when we started with the industry back in 2006, it was big, like PC computers. But now you look at your computer as an example. You see this slim tablets. The same with this type of technology. You still need a little bit of a form factor to host those modules and RF antennas and the battery. But yes, if you've seen our first unit compared to this, it's shrinking devices. Form factor makes a difference because form factor you want to fit on a camera.
Yeah.
You want to put it on a backpack. You want to put it in various places, and this is what form factor is really helping you.
Okay, I lied. I've got one more question. Where can they find you at IBC?
Well, they can find us on Hall 3.
Okay.
You won't miss us, and you can see all the nice product that we have out there, and we visit you all to come and get a glimpse of the latest product development that we have for IBC.
Cool. Thank you, Ronan. That was really interesting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll be back soon. That's all we've got time for now. Have a good show. Thank you.